Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 6th year, 102nd day, first video, and I'm going to call this Words for and Plus, because I'll put both the men's class and the women's class together. The vocabulary words I got from the men, only the men as it turned out, and they were tidy. The context was I'm going to tidy up, and the context to that was I lost my chalk. Oh well, I guess I don't need it. There it is. I'm going to tidy up. And this was December 12th, 2017. And I was writing again, but then I get too busy to get it all done. I was going to tidy up. This was gotten in spoken. The man heard it spoken, and he wondered exactly what that meant. And we looked into it. 2 syllables, first one stressed. It's a verb. It's the first time we actually encountered a word that you do it. It doesn't name something, it doesn't describe something, it's something you do, and it would pass the test of today I tidy up, yesterday I tidied up. Oh, this is a verb. Tomorrow I will tidy up, yeah. And we settled on the definition of to put in order. Then there was the word serendipity, with a T at the end of it, was the way he gave it, but he didn't really have the context. So I created a serendipitous experience, and so now it became an adjective, and it was a little easier in the dictionary to handle it as an adjective anyway. So unexpectedly lucky was the definition that we settled on, and I pointed out that really my experience of teaching these 2 classes was a serendipitous experience for me, unexpectedly lucky, because I thought it might be interesting, but I had no idea how interesting it would be. And he had gotten that word in Faith to Faith, which is a devotional book. Now, with my hearing, I guess I couldn't figure out what he was saying, Faith to Faith, and it made me laugh. Maybe I shouldn't have, but it seemed ironic that a devotional book would have a name like that, because it's almost a slur for somebody who can't pronounce an S. Face to face is the expression, faith to faith. And you know, if you can't pronounce an S, you'll often substitute it with a TH. And I mean, I was saved. It took a while before I realized that was the name of the book. Anyway, that was it. And then another man, I was going to quit because and he'd gotten that from, I don't know what this is doing here. I don't know why I've got 3 footnotes, because this came from some other place. It doesn't matter. But I was going to only take 2 words because I knew time was going to be short. But there was a man who said, no, I really like to know what this word means. And it was disheveled. Somebody had described him as looking disheveled, I think. And, you know, of course, never quite certain how to spell it. We had to look a little while. Was it B? Was it a D? Was it a D-E, a B-E? But we found it. I knew the word. Disheveled, and we took it as, well, it was serendipitous that we had the word tidy, because the definition in the dictionary said untidy, not tidy, disheveled. I think I don't know how we settled on it. And the sentence, when we put all 3 of these together in a sentence with a simile and an allusion to something famous, it was an amazing sentence that this guy came up with. Something about the yin and the yang, and I don't know, it was quite a sentence, and I didn't really have time to write it down, but it doesn't matter that much. Well, anyway, and it was serendipitous, because when I got to the women, they didn't have words. I think they'd forgotten that was the bread and butter. That's the main thing we do here is this is words, and whatever else we can do with the time is extra. Well, that worked out, though. It was serendipitous, as I say, because with the women I had a little bit more time. I wanted to say that storytelling is also much older than writing, than literacy. Storytelling, cavemen, obviously, told stories, and maybe it's a little more surprising to think that they might have had poetry, but they almost certainly did. And I had time to tell that to the men. I had also wanted to explain to them that alliteration is a very easy thing to do. And you know, you can put that into your speaking or your poetry or your writing. And then Donald Duck is an example of alliteration, when words start with the same sounds. And then I mentioned Helplessly Hoping, the Crosby, Stills and Nash song, or maybe Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young's, I'm not sure. Such a study in alliteration, helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. An amazing etude, I think you might call it, of alliteration. And I had time to mention that to both classes, but not to go over it. Maybe I should someday if things really settle down. But anyway, I found that, you know, it's okay to give them 4 pieces of paper folded over makes a 16-page signature. And that would have been a good way to start the very first time with words. Because they fold that over, then they've got 16 pages. And as long as you number the pages as they're once they're folded, you'll get them in the right order, even if they fall apart. And I explained about there's a centerfold. When you get to the middle, that's called a centerfold. Of course, you know, that means something else about everybody now, but that's where it comes from. I did that, and I didn't have time to give the men the rhyme chart, but I'll make up for that. But I did dictate it to the women, because the women are already creating poetry. There's the rhyme chart. I don't know, maybe if I get close enough, you can see it. I don't know. The light seems it's too bright. But anyway, I dictated it to the women, and they wrote it down quickly, because, as I say, they're producing poetry. They had written, 2 of them had actually written a little tiny poem, as I'd asked them to that would tell a story. The funny thing is, it tells a story about my class, of what I'm doing. I thought that was pretty cool. And with the women, I had time to tell them about the enormous amount of poetry and music that at Christmas time is available. Even I talked about Handel's Messiah, you know, the kind of thing that if no one ever tells you about it, there's not very much reason for advertising to sell you on the idea of listening to Baroque music or Handel's Messiah. I had a brief discussion with the women about that. Did not have time with the men. With the women again, Jennifer and David, I was able to leave a copy of this fairly long narrative poem, story poem, that 9th graders wrote with me many, many years back. But I wanted them to see that, because I'm trying to prime them to get them ready to produce a sequel to the Song of Marion. The Song of Marion's Daughter, I mentioned that before. And I was also able to leave them. I pulled the staples out, so it's just a stack of papers. But anyway, the Song of Marion, I was able to leave that as well. And that's a very long story poem. And I was able to leave a copy of that too, to get them better ready to create, to go on with the Song of Marion's Daughter. All right. I guess that's it. Bye for now.